right. The great transition is happening. How are you, bro?
All right. Hi, guys. Hi, everyone. Hey, Eric, Stacia, Yvette, Patricia over in YouTube land. And hi, Cece and David and Michal and Nancy and Sylvia. And oof, I got, I forgot how to pronounce your name in Turkish, but it starts with an M and I see you there. Yes.
Menavesh.
Minivish.
I
Yes.
think so. I really
Thank
hope
you.
I didn't butcher your name. Tell us where you guys are watching from. Everyone who's now tuning in, we're seeing the numbers going up gradually. So as you go in, tell us where you're watching from. And ladies and gents, we are in a culminating process that is becoming greater and wider and bigger and deeper, and I think most importantly, uh, unchangeable. How do you say un? Can't go back to what it was before, but in a nice kind of
Yeah,
word.
so don't count on me for any of that kind of stuff today because my head is completely blank. I have an emotional feeling of where we're going, but I'm not going to be too reliable on if you have to tap the old brain over here. So
We're
what
reaching
word are you looking for?
like the point of no
You can't
return,
go back.
but the point of no return, but in like a one word that starts with unreturnable. The
Just go with it. Just go with it.
Yeah, no, because I mean, as I'm looking at what's happening, right, and the more you see the world, looking at it from not just a headlines perspective, but meaning what the headlines say, but looking at what what the nature is telling us through everything that is happening. You're basically the message that I'm reading is
Hmm.
evolution is pushing full steam ahead. That's it. We are moving into a brand new world, brand new society, a brand new economy, um, brand new kind of politics that needs to emerge. Some sort. We're going to
So
reorganize
you know
even
that
life.
you know
Yeah.
that 40% or more of the United States population is obese, and obesity, like there's
Whoa.
more and more stories. There's more
Where'd
and
you
more.
came up with that all of a sudden?
I just wanted to because what I'm what
I am. I
I
do
wanted
know actually. Yeah.
yeah, I'm tying it
I'm
in
aware of
because
that.
it's like it's just a clear example. Like if you're not obese, you have
Yeah.
something like a 40% chance of better of surviving.
Hmm.
But none of the health people in America came out and said, uh, "Watch your weight." That's a great thing to do in order to,
Hmm.
meaning the systems are so broken and the solutions provided are there's dozen half a dozen examples like that. By the way, um,
Hmm.
the the system is broken. We passed this, but like there is like you're overweight, like no one's
Yeah.
coming to help you. 50% higher chance you're just gonna die, and like nature will just keep moving.
Dude,
Like
forget
what's next?
overweight. Overweight is already a result. Just think about what we're eating, what we are, what we're eating, what happens in the process of how that food comes to our
How
fridge.
much destruction? What kind of trail of destruction
It's
comes behind the food on its way
destruction,
to our homes?
exploitation, over overproduction, over everything, waste, um, all of that is
Yeah,
just
so it's just one
yeah.
example to kind of illustrate what you're saying, that we've crossed this threshold, and it's like we're not even looking back at you're overweight. We're not even going to tell you that that's something that you could change in order
Oh
to
no
be
no,
healthier. Just like just charge forward.
but man, the point of no return that I was referring to is that I think that we are now changing to the point that mankind is what I'm going to say right now. Probably most people won't agree with me on a conscious level.
Nice.
Okay, but I do think that we don't want to go back anymore. I think that a massive amount of people don't want to go back to the world before COVID. But it's just that they don't know how to express it, what's what can be done instead of the world that we are familiar with and that we had so far. The vision for the future is missing, but something has changed in the human psyche
Mm-hmm.
following, like, because of the last 4 or 5 months. And I
Yeah.
think that this is becoming more and more evident. We're becoming more and more ripe and ready and willing and open gradually to a massive change of human culture in all levels of human engagement. So, yeah, that means food and production and economics, and mostly at the end of the day, it's human relations. It's how we relate to each other. That determines what kind of food I'll produce for you and what kind of society we're all going to live in. The connection between us, that's at the end of the day, that's what needs to undergo a major kind of overhaul. um yeah.
The confusion still reigns. This was Berlin over the weekend, Germany. These are tens of thousands of people who are out in
Wow.
the street. You see my screen okay?
Yeah, yeah, I do.
Okay, so
Okay.
they're saying that no, we're not saying something's good or bad. We're just showing what's going on. They're saying
Yeah.
that masks are against our freedom. They're saying that making us have vaccines against the masks are against our freedom. They're saying that making us social distance is against our freedom. So that's a lot of people out there. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's
um,
part of the process. I think it's part of the process. I think that people are going outside. First of all, it's not just Germany. I think that, if I read correctly, people even in Thailand, Nigeria.
this was not like a violent protest though. This was just peaceful people out in the street
Yeah.
saying we're against wearing masks. They weren't like smashing any
Oh, oh,
windows or
oh,
anything.
sorry, sorry, you're right. I'm generalizing. But I'll tell you why
Because
I'm generalizing. I'm
okay.
generalizing because people are
'Cause-
going outside for what the general, the umbrella reason for why people are going out is COVID,
yeah.
right? Okay. Now,
Yeah.
under that umbrella reasoning, there's
Yeah.
all kinds of sub reasons. So, for one
Uh-huh.
kind of group, it can be we don't want to wear the masks. It's against our
Right.
freedom, free
Right.
speech, whatever. It's that type of thing. Why do we even need it? And it's just one bluff, and it's a conspiracy theory, and there's no pandemic, and there's no virus. It can even go there. Doesn't matter. But that's one thing. For other people, it's the economic ramifications of the quarantine and lockdown measures that have been taken. So they're going, give us our jobs back, give us our money back, give us our old life back. Other people are now becoming very extreme in their attitude towards their leaders. This is happening now in Israel very, very strongly, very aggressively. Uh, you know, uh,
Can you see my
this,
screen?
yeah, that's in Israel, right?
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
in Tel Aviv. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it gets violent, it gets ugly, and some of these people are expressing a lot of anger towards the government and specifically the prime minister and so on. In other places, it somehow relates to racial tensions, but COVID is the umbrella kind of
Mm-hmm.
common denominator that is pushing people out.
Okay, so even
Yeah,
behind COVID, so far you put COVID as a blanket.
yeah.
Yes, behind that is the forces of nature,
Mm-hmm.
which COVID is one tool, right? Because after COVID, you got other viruses. You could have tsunamis. You could have who knows what. Um, Nature is moving everyone um, from being just this animal who just responds by these two reins, like pleasure and pain. Like I was in the house long enough and now I can't take it anymore, I'm going out, or
Hmm.
whatever. A person is just constantly weighing what are his own, well,
Yeah,
how is this all for my benefit.
yeah.
And now the whole thing that we started to talk about was how with this virus, I need to, and what could enable us to be able to go outside and not worry about this virus at all is to start thinking about others. How can I put the head of nature on top of my animal body, on top of my monkey body or whatever it is, and have the wisdom of nature to be able to go out and
I
say,
think no, I think we're jumping. Like we're taking a couple steps like too fast here,
I always do that. Okay, break it
because
down for us
no
then.
no. I think it's important to identify this. People are going out to protest for various reasons, seemingly various reasons. But in any one of these cases, they are trying to make a demand, right? But it's not clear what is the demand. It's not 100% clear in many of these
Hmm.
situations. And I think, I would argue that it's not clear to the people themselves what they're protesting about. And I understand that could be very antagonistic to hear if you're out now protesting. But I think we are misinterpreting what is happening, and therefore we are, attacking what we can see, but we are missing the deeper reason. And that's why also the address of these protests, the complaint we are trying to make towards something or someone, is
Right.
also
if
wrong.
if if I if I'm protesting against a certain politician, right? I don't like
Yeah,
how he is or whatever, okay?
yeah,
But I every day I bring a trash can or two out to the every week. I mean, I bring a trash can out to the street with filled with plastic and stuff that ends up going into the ocean or ends up into a landfill somewhere.
yeah.
And when I go out to work, I, go to make money to support my family, but I'm not thinking of the consequences of what I'm doing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If I'm putting violent media in front of my kids all the time, they're playing video games or they're shooting each other. Like, who am I? What am I? Who am I complaining to?
You just said it, man. We have to all be protesting together our old way of life. That's what we need to protest. We need to protest. We need to come together in our expression of our desire for something new. And this is an educational process. This is a process of an expansion of consciousness. It's not a simple thing. It can't. I don't think that it can happen with a lot of noise and violence and anger. And I think that there needs to be. I mean, that's a big question. If we are indeed, and we are moving towards a big transition, is there a way that it can happen peacefully, or does it have to happen with so much noise and protest and and even bloodshed and violence and all that? Does anarchy have to happen before we can actually arrive at something new that works? Tell you what, dude, I'm actually setting this thing up. These are questions that I'd love to open up together with our guest who's gonna come on very soon. So
Okay,
yeah, well, what do you say? Let's just bring him on. Let's just bring him
let's
on.
do it. I see slightly slanted sleuth and boffin are starting to ask some questions. So um yeah, let's bring them on. We'll have time to get to them. We're still early.
Okay, so I'll
Is
send
it
him.
coming
I'll,
in?
I'll make sure he comes in, and you'll
Okay,
say
so why
some
don't you
things. You'll say
invite him
some
in and
things in
we'll
the
we'll
middle.
take a question. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me ask you a question while you're doing that. So, slightly slanted sleuth 34 truth on YouTube is saying he's in Minnesota or she is in Minnesota. Oh, he. My name is Steve Q. Do you think here's a question, Asaf. Do you think that Earth, the system Earth, is trying to speak through COVID? And if so, is COVID attempting to get us back to nature?
Wow. Beautifully phrased that question. Wait, so we just got the real name of slightly
Slightly
slanted sleuth?
slanted sleuth is actually Steve Q.
Hey, Steve Q. Great to know. I another version of your name, I guess. Um, wow. Can you ask that again? System of nature sending
Yes.
COVID? Yeah. Okay. Please stop me if it gets too long.
Okay.
Nature is one holistic, beautiful, magnificent system. It's all interconnected, and it maintains this wondrous balance at all times. Everything that's happening in that system is pushing the whole system to its next level of evolution, which is a more advanced, intricate kind of connection and balance in the system. What happens with regards to COVID is that we are being pushed as a human species. The whole human network is affected by this influence called COVID. And yes, the planet Earth, if you will, is using COVID as an influence that will bring humanity, push humanity, and shape humanity into a more greater level of balance with that holistic system of nature. That means that we need to become integrally connected and dependent on each other, just as the rest of the natural system is. I think that would be enough for now. No?
Yeah,
Um,
this is it's huge. I mean, the yeah, it's huge. Is Iran here or what?
he
Because
is
I can
here. We're
keep
going to
going.
see him in just a second. Mr.
Okay.
Eran Shayovich, our dear friend, fellow KabU instructor. He's also an expert in political science, an expert in tech, in marketing. He's, a person of many qualities and traits and superpowers. How are you, brother? Can you
I'm
hear
super
us?
powered, and you said I'm super powered, no? I'm good. How are you?
Good. Let's
Good.
jump, Seth. Can I just jump right into it? What
Jump,
do you say?
jump. I'm waiting for
Okay.
you to jump.
Look, I don't know if you watched the first few minutes. We started to get
Yeah,
into the.
I've watched it. You're
Okay.
very optimistic, both of you. Yeah,
Really? How are we
yeah.
optimistic? How are we optimistic?
I don't know, like all these talks about these changes and the riots and stuff makes you feel cozy. What's up?
Okay. How do you see
We have
it?
an image that we're upholding here, Iran. If you know,
Ah,
it's
yeah.
part of our brand is that people come here to feel relaxed and that it's going to be a good
It's
future.
good. It's very important, giving the sensation of security in times of major changes. It's a necessity.
I always thought that all the main job that you could be president if the main thing you did every morning, even if it was a total lie, you just come out to the whole country. Good morning, everybody. Did you hear what happened in Iowa last night? Uncle Susie helped Aunt Joji with the potatoes. Oh my God, today is going to be a great day, everybody. We're going to all work together. Everyone's going to help each other. And I felt if you did that as the president, you could probably do better.
Actually, there was an American president that used to have a weekly talk in times of crisis. No, I remember this. I think there was an historic example for that. That was one of the more brilliant moves. Also, I think Churchill did some of it on the radio. It's very important. You know, as Jews, we have a ceremony of how do you call it in English? Brit Milah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
circumcision.
Yeah, it's not very
It's a
nice.
very fun. Very fun.
It's not very nice. It's not very fun. But everybody's panicked. If you're a man, you're mostly panicked, and if you're a woman, also if you're the mother and the baby is there, so you have the moel coming in there. How do you call the guy that
The
does it?
moil.
The guy who does the
Moel,
The
circumcision.
guy
moel,
who
yeah.
the
Anyway,
guy
skip to
who
So
the skip to the punchline here, would you?
yeah, okay, I'm skipping. I know it's a hard moment, but hold on. But there is a moment of silence usually of the waiting. And this is a very panicking moment. What is going to happen? Now, how do you know if the moral is experienced or not? If he keeps talking all the time, then everybody is much more calm. If there is a silence, everybody wants to die. They just don't know what's going on. So only the effect of talking also have an effect of relaxing, as you've said, and it's true. That's why you see it also with kids, and in many cases, people who are in a very who have like internal states.
Tension. Yeah.
Yeah, and tension. They talk to themselves. They want to calm themselves. Okay, so yeah, talking and breathing.
Wow,
In the end, will
that's a good point. Isn't it like we are such creatures of communication? I mean, when I go to a doctor, if the doctor speaks to me while he's testing, while he's like, examining me and says, "Okay, we're going to check this, we're going to look at that." then you're gonna you're gonna wait. There's just gonna be results. And if the doctor says nothing, I'm terrified. I'm
Yeah.
terrified, and I just want to leave. I just want to get the hell out of there. And we
Think of
are,
the
yeah,
think of the first 2 or 3 weeks of the COVID-19. Everybody watched the news, everybody. And they
right,
didn't have much to say. Nobody knew what's going on. They said the same things over and over again. But even people that usually don't watch the news went and watched the news because it's like a therapy, like uh, in Israel, we are very used to it. We have all these wars and crisis and terrorist attacks. So every time that something like this happens, it's like a tribe thing that everybody goes online and starts to watch uh, every authority they can find.
right, right.
If it's a general or a doctor or a professor or something like that, just let them talk, and I feel much more
So
relaxed.
you're an authority on leadership. Why, and you understand leadership. Why doesn't the president come out every morning
Yeah, what they
and just
don't
tell
understand
everyone
that.
and just give some good news? Just tell everyone we're doing this. I mean, it's as if nobody has a playbook. It's as if every other week, they're sending you to the right, they're sending you to the left. They give you money, it's not enough. They don't give you money. You're not allowed to go to grandma's funeral, but you are allowed to protest about this. It's as if they're as confused as everyone else, and even if they're not doing a good job um, calming people.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I don't know how it is in the States because we
It's
we,
bad.
we watch it from far away. But in Israel, at least, again, there was a time in the beginning that they used to do that. But again, they mostly took it to bring more new regulations and new laws on the public. But uh, but uh, I truly can't answer that. I truly don't. I guess it's not important in their eyes. The fact that you need to come to the public and say, "Hey, we're in this together. We are half clueless, maybe less than you, but still, and it's going to be bad, but we're going to do it together, and we're going to try some stuff, and some of it won't work." For example, one of the basic mistakes, I think at least they did, was that they didn't tell the public who they talked with. For example, today we talked with the restaurant owners, and today we talked with doctors. Today we talked with people from the tourist industry, and we cannot help everybody, okay? But today we try to help this. We heard them. We heard the fact that you are being heard, and the fact that somebody is taking care of you, and the fact that you feel that you are together with somebody that actually worries more than you about you, that's a big thing.
Eran, I feel like what you're saying right now is it's not just transparency, it's the expression of vulnerability, the expression of we don't expect us to be, we are like leaders should come out and say, almost like, we're like you. We're
Well,
going
hold on,
through
hold
this
on.
process,
That's a question.
this process
Should
together.
should a leader come out and as an expert on leadership, for example, are leaders supposed to come out and be more like a tyrant, or just not a tyrant, but tell you this is the truth and he is the truth and that's it? Or is a leader supposed to come out and express vulnerability and say, listen, we're not sure what's going to happen here, or we're uncertain about this?
That's a very there are many types of leadership, and you cannot really say that there is one formula. I can just say that from what I know about political systems, you cannot show a vulnerability because you'll be eaten alive, and all the system works in order to praise the predators, and you have to be the strongest around. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking even before that. I'm talking about the fact that because that's what we started with, the 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 therapy power of conversation is underestimated. The fact that even if there are no, ask your wife, because that's one of the main flaws of men. You just have a problem, you want to fix it. So you
Right.
just so everything that looks like a nail, and you come with a hammer, and if it doesn't work, you come with a big hammer. And in 90% of the cases, your wife can solve it better than you. if not in 100%. And she just came to you to share with you, to get some empathy, to get some, to be in this together. And the fact that, and I think that one of the things that that you see in great leaders is that they come and they say, hey, it's going to be bad, but we're in this together, and let's move on together,
Oh,
but really
okay.
together, not just in. But it's really hard. Again, if you're talking about the political system, in the end, the COVID-19 didn't invent anything almost, but it just, like any crisis, it just fastened and enlarged background diseases. And that's true for the individual and it's true for societies.
I would even say it uncovered or unmasked some of the already existing issues
Yeah,
and
but I think that
toxicity.
many of the things were there, from working at
Yeah,
home to political polarization, to people being unhappy, and health systems not working. So everything was there, but it really accelerated and zoomed in on the problems.
let's focus a bit more on what you called the therapeutic power of communication. Okay, so how I want to tie this to the protests that we're seeing now. And again, I don't have the list in front of me, but I was looking on some headlines today and yesterday, and I saw that it's happening in so many countries, from Thailand and Nigeria to Belarus and Israel and the U.S. and Germany and other European countries, in so many places. For whatever reason, but somehow tied to COVID, people are going out. Do you think that there is? I feel like there is a communication issue that is happening, but I'm not exactly sure how to express that. I feel that the people going out to the streets, they don't know even how to express what they feel. Now, obviously, that's a blanket statement, but how do you think communication can play a role with these protests that are happening?
First of all, the problem is that there is no communication. The global, something happened. You shared the
No,
screen.
just showing all around
Yeah.
the
No,
Yeah,
world.
there
suddenly
you
these
go.
things jumped in. I thought something is happening. I think the problem is that the global the global World Wide Web, or you can say, or the global communication. It's not just the internet, also the media. For years, have become about conflicts, because conflict sells, and everything is about conflicts. And when you build a communication system built on conflicts, soon you have a lot of toxicity, because everybody's trying to take down others, and you have a lot of verbal abuse and verbal
Right.
what.
No, I'm saying right. I think
Yeah.
especially
Okay. So
maybe
so
on
in this
social media.
reality, so in
Yeah.
this so in this reality, when you need to have headlines, it's everything about wars and sensations, and the world is about to end. Okay, and this is what actually all the media companies are doing, and all the people that thought in the 90s of the previous century that the internet will be different. In the internet, we have no countries. In the internet, there will be a space of conversation and blah, 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 so that the internet became more toxic than anything else. People go into Facebook and,
I,
get depressed in 5 minutes. Now, I'll give you
that's a
a
huge
different
point
example.
what you just said. I'm just saying
Yeah,
just that
I
you
know
you
most of
you
the
went
points are
through it
huge, but
quickly.
just a moment. Let me finish. Let me
Okay,
finish the
go
point.
ahead.
If it's huge, I'll give you a different example. Okay, for example, there were very two nice stories in Israel media that came through Facebook, not in the traditional media. One about a couple who are married. One from right wing and the other is from the left wing, and they actually don't see the Facebook of one another because they get so mad they cannot live together later. But they talked about how they build their love above their differences. Or, for example, there was a very nice story of someone who took a bus to the demonstration in Jerusalem, and on the bus she met this older guy who went to the same demonstration, but on the other side. And they talked and they met and they heard
There you go.
one another. And when they went down from the bus, each one went to his own demonstration.
Very nice.
Now, this is an example because I know many people who go to the demonstrations, and I know family members of those people that hate people on the demonstrations. And it doesn't really matter who you are for. What's matter is the fact that you need to have some kind of understanding that should be like imprinted deeper than any conflict or disagreement, that we must stay together no matter what happens. Sometimes like marriage used to be, no matter what happens, we need to stay together in order to survive, to succeed, to whatever. Now, if you come from this point, not who's winning and let's create a sensation, you have a different kind of communication, completely different, because not everyone is coming and saying, no, I'm going to break the playground and I'm going to burn everything because I don't like something, which is a very 3-year-old kind of attitude. So we need to grow up.
So someone on David on Facebook says, so he says the creator, he's already a student of the wisdom of Kabbalah, but for someone who's here that's not already in the learning with us, creator and nature are interchangeable words. So is the system of nature that we have here, it's broken? Well,
again, what's the question?
Is this system, so you're saying these people you're talking about how to deal with it. He's asking, is the system that we have broken? Are we all just plopped down into this broken system?
Yeah, the system is broken, but it's not like it.
But nature gave us a broken system. Where is nature in this? Where are we?
You can say that nature gave us a broken system, and we're just revealing it. It doesn't really matter, but still, you can look on things from different kind of perspectives. You can say on one hand, we're revealing the crisis in our communication and relationship on a global scale, so we went from having problems in the tribes, killing one another in families, because people have this stigma that people went in the tribes and they were happy and dancing on. No, people kill one another in tribes. That's why they went out of tribes. If you go to tribes today in primitive countries, you don't see this happy lala kind of sitting around the campfire and singing. But then we grew up to countries, and there were problems in the level of countries, and now we have it on a global level. So, and still you can say, from an optimistic kind of way, that what we have today is the best regime and conditions that humanity ever had. Like every
feels like
other.
It's the worst.
You see? So it depends how you look at it. Because never ever in humanity you had the option to deal with a pandemic in a global kind of way without going immediately into war, with knowing what's going on. And most of the people still have running water, they have electricity, most of the people still have some kind of ability to get medical treatment, and they don't die on the streets or at home. So it really depends how you look at it.
No,
okay?
Wait.
Where'd you find this guy, Asaf?
No, I agree that, it's all about hindsight also.
I just want to say that in Israel, marijuana is not legal yet, so you cannot...
Wait until everyone starts revolting more. And
no,
then
it's a matter of time.
You cannot blame the optimism on the certain, how do you call it?
Substances. Yeah. But it will be legal. It's just a matter of time, by the way. But back to our topic.
Optimist.
What? Anyway.
No, you just surprised me that you said something optimist about the future.
That's also up for interpretation, depending on what you're rooting for. Anyways, but I think that our standards, our measurements are incomplete. You can't say that now is sure. If you compare today to 100 years ago, in many aspects, today is much, we're in a much better state from many perspectives, like you just said. But I think the comparison needs to be not where we are today as opposed to where we were 100 years ago. It needs to be where we are today as opposed to where we can be. The
Okay,
potential state, the
Yeah, we're not
potential for
comparing this
what
to
we
before
can have.
electricity and
Yeah, for the potential, but judging by based on what we can create today, the kind of infrastructure that we have, communication, and transportation
but
and
what
common
can
language.
but one can what can you create today? What do you mean? Give
okay,
an
so
example.
here's the
Okay,
question. Here's the question from Boffin Grusky on YouTube, which goes to what Asaf said at the beginning. Asaf said we need a desire for something new. What does that even mean? What can we create? Like, where's the example of it? What are we talking
What's the
about?
meaning of create something new? It's a big question.
it
We are today in a okay. Maybe we'll give. Still, we need to have the historical perspective. Always in history, questions of meaning went together with social order. Because
okay,
for the individual to suppress himself under some kind of a ruler or something or some kind of regime, he needs to have a justification. Okay, so you always, if you look
okay.
through history, you always had certain religions or ideologies or perspectives going with certain types of social order that justified it, and they went together, and that's why the church went with the king, and Putin went with the church again, and the Soviets erased the church, and the Chinese, everybody did something, okay, and the Muslims and whatever. When you have social unrest, when you have pain on, which is really not very specific, it's not this kind of more money or this kind or a protest against opening a new road or something, but it's very like raw pain on a large scale. This is an indication that you have a problem of meaning, of a of some kind of justification for the social order. And this is something which is, on one hand, a huge opportunity because it opens up like a new kind of a deficiency for a global change. And on the other hand, it's very dangerous. Now, what will determine if it will go to the if we go after the Spanish pandemic, we got the Second World War. Okay, so what will determine if we're gonna go to a crisis, to a state that everything burns down? And believe me, that if something burns down, it's years of pain. And nobody evolves consciously in this pain. People are just like animals wanting to survive. And you need to come later to it.
Speak on this
Or
for wait before you move forward. Convince me or convince the people who
I
there are a
don't
lot
want
of
to convince
people.
you. I just want to tell you
No, no, but
what's the key that will determine one of the two options.
there are a lot of people today who will tell you, yes, we need the old world, the existing world, and the existing power structures and the existing economy and so forth. We need that to burn down to the ground in order for
Okay, so
something new to.
I will invite them to come visit Syria or Lebanon. They can come to visit Israel on the way, it's very close, and see what happens when systems fall apart. Nothing good comes of it. You can see the French Revolution, you can see the Soviet Revolution. When you burn things to the ground, there is no void in nature. And if immediately you are not aware of why you're destroying it, if you immediately don't build something how do you call it? Somebody that doesn't have legs, so he
Ah,
uses crunches.
like crutches.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
crutches.
crunches. So if you don't have it, then you're just inviting pain. Nothing good will come out of it.
So, but if you see the world is so broken, you want it, it has to go away.
So first of all, the world can be much more broken. Agree with me. We saw examples,
Okay.
Agree.
okay,
Agree.
from not
Yeah.
having. I'm telling you,
We all agree.
come see our neighbors. Come see our neighbors.
Right.
They don't have Lebanon, which used to be the Paris of the Middle East like 100 years ago. Today they don't have electricity. Most of them don't have water. So I'm not talking about the education system and stuff like that. So the question, like, the factor that is going to determine which way we're going to go is the social awareness of the fact that we are in it together. Okay? If there is a huge mass of people that will agree that no matter what, all the troubles, all the struggles, or the disagreements, we must go through this together, then we can use this confusion, which is a good thing, in order to scrutinize between us as a society through all of the different opinions and the different methods. We can scrutinize what is our next step. And then we'll need to have another good step, because, in life, only children think that, we just do this and everything will be okay and they live happily ever after. And, as grown up, you find out that you move forward, you succeed, you have greater challenges, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't have this understanding that we're in this together, and you fall into one eating the other, this pandemic of hate doesn't stop. You can have the blues killing the reds. After they kill the reds, the blues divide into light blue, dark blue, and they're killing one another. After the dark blue wins, they divide into dark blue purple, dark blue green, and they kill one another. And that's how it goes. See history. That's nature. So you cannot think that after we'll kill enough people, then suddenly we'll understand that we need to live in love and harmony. How? You just saw that you can just kill everybody.
Okay, listen. We spoke to your attorney and your manager before you came here. We put in your contract. You have to give a good message to our people. We paid you a lot of money to be here today, and I don't understand what we're getting for our money.
I'm telling you what you're getting. You're getting that the only key. First of all, you understand that the current situation is an opportunity. It's not so bad. I'm telling you, the fact that people are in uncertainty, but still they have their basic needs. Still they have access to media and they see what's going on and they get educated by that. That's like a present, okay? It's amazing, because if everybody would be fat and happy, you'll have nobody to talk with, right? If everybody will be hungry for food or dying from COVID-19, I know people that had COVID-19, they don't have oxygen. You cannot talk with them, okay? They need oxygen, they need food. So now you have the best thing. Now, what do you need to do? You just need, like in a greenhouse, that you take care of the light and the water, and then it grows on itself. You just need to push the understanding that we are in this together, no matter what. Okay, I understand you. You're a left wing, you're a right wing, you don't see the future, you're pretty happy with the future, everything is okay, but we need to solve it together, okay? So let's think how we do it. If you succeed in that, then you need to show them that it's a big challenge to work together. If they don't understand it yet, they need to see how hard it is to work together. Now, if you have these two, we need to work together, but we actually can't, or we're really struggling for it.
Right.
Then you're on the golden path. Because from here on, everything you'll deal with would be scrutinizing the way that we as humanity, we as the American people, we as Israelis, me and my family need to work together, although it's not easy. From this is like,
okay,
like the fast lane.
So what you said was,
yeah, you go ahead.
We need to have two things. One is the big problem, and one is we're not sure what the solution is, right? Is that what you said?
I think
no, I didn't say. No, I didn't say.
You're saying first of all, I would call it like a consciousness of our interdependence, right?
Yeah.
We have to understand whatever's happening, my well-being, your well-being, guess what? It's a package.
What are these two poles that you?
And that's why people need to understand. Those that demonstrate need to understand that if they'll break everything, nothing good will come out of it.
Okay.
And those in power need to understand that if they won't take care of the emptiness and the suffering and the pain of those who demonstrate, nothing good will come out of it. Okay. So you need to have this mutual understanding of this interdependence, as you said. Now, if you have a critical mass that understands this is step one. Now you can come and show and talk if they don't understand it already. Yeah, but if they don't, you should come and talk and show that it's not so easy to work together. It's very hard. It's
What were
maybe,
these two poles that you said?
yeah,
No, no,
it
what are
doesn't
they?
have.
No, no, you
These
named them
two
before.
poles are two different people, and even in one
Oh,
people you have poles. Okay, these poles are like, you can call them like the crimes, the gaps, like the wounds of nature.
but you
Everything that is
but these polar opposites are, we have to work together, we have no choice, we're interdependent, that's one, and on the other hand we just can't, it's too hard, it's too difficult,
no,
yeah.
no, but I'm saying no, but wait, okay, I'll take one step back. First
Okay.
of all, you can have many poles. Okay, you can take political poles. You can have economic poles. You can have poles between a man and, and his wife. Doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
That's life. They're full of poles, and these will just get more and more extreme. You need to cover all these poles with one understanding that no matter what, the only way to succeed, survive, I don't know what,
Yep.
deal with it, whatever you want to call it, is understanding that we're in this together. And we need to do it out of the understanding, or deal with it out of the understanding that we're in this together. I cannot kill you, you cannot kill me, and we cannot break everything, because otherwise we don't have anything. And we cannot run away, it won't help.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we understand this, now we can scrutinize how hard it is to work together, because it's not easy.
Why do you
It's
put
like,
such an emphasis on educating ourselves about the hardship of working together? Why do you think it's
because
so?
because if you don't show people that it's not so easy, then everybody falls into the some kind of a childish imagination that if we'll just hold hands and do meditation and smoke weed and hug one another, it will be okay. But it won't be okay, because our nature is completely
Mm-hmm.
opposite of that. So we need to grow up, meaning we need to understand that life is full of contradictions between us to others, inside of ourselves, and we need to understand that we need to deal with them and build upon them. Okay, and because if you do, again, if you just talk about peace and love without showing the challenges,
Mm-hmm.
either people think you're on drug, or they'll think that if they'll meditate or breathe, everything will be okay, and
so
it won't.
this kind of gets to some of the questions we have here from P. Marlin and Slightly Slanted again, and Mrinesh from Turkey, and Lisa Rosenberg about humans being a broken system and mechanical elves. All of this is kind of tied together. So you're saying I come up against somebody, I'm in America, I'm against Trump, or I'm in America, I'm against Biden. You're saying you can't just cut them out, say they're bad, they don't belong anymore, and just erase them. That person's the devil. I
let,
don't need
let,
him.
let's say you'll cut them out. Who you cut out tomorrow? Somebody else. And then you cut out somebody else. And that's
Okay,
how
so
you need to understand that hate, it's like a cancer. Okay, I can give you examples of many societies. After you finish with your enemies, you turn into your own people. The greatest killers of their own nations were people that believed in fixing society in their own home. Okay, and they
Right.
killed millions of their own people. And after you finish with your own people, you go against your family, because that's how it works. This is hate. It's consuming you. You cannot finish with it. Okay, now, I'm not saying that now you can act in love together with everybody, okay? Because there are problems. But finding the balance, finding the connection between them, that's the essence of our social lives. Like, that's what makes us humans.
well, how do
You're
you deal with
go go
how
Seth.
do you
Go
deal
ahead.
with somebody who maybe you don't have dialogue with? You're unable to communicate
You
with them.
cannot, and you don't deal with them directly, just like somebody who is grieving, or I don't know, or is in huge pain, or hungry for food. You cannot talk with them. That's what I've told you, that if you break everything, it will be much harder. Because if you have millions of people that now lost somebody they love, or their children are hungry for food, it will be much harder for you to create this understanding. That's why we have this huge opportunity right now. But uh, and always, it's not good to come directly to somebody. It's just I don't know how to say that, but just like in the greenhouse, you're just like generally working on all the plants. You don't just take one plant. Sometimes you do, but in most cases, you just work in a general way. You just like like a vaccine, you just anyway, it won't succeed if you just vaccinate one person. You need to like insert it into the population.
We don't have a lot of time left, and I want to ask a couple more questions. First, okay, we talked about the importance of the consciousness of interdependence as like the basic condition from which we can start to grow in a positive direction.
This what makes the crisis into an opportunity. Otherwise, it
Mm-hmm.
will take us down. If we do
The
this, we can
consciousness
start.
of interdependence.
Yes,
Okay.
if this will
So,
happen, then we can use the situation for the better.
okay. And then after that, you also give a lot of emphasis on awakening to the challenge of working together as human beings.
Not
That
not awakening, but accepting the fact that love or connection or interdependence is built upon the opposite. And it's just like a child that wants all his life to be sweet. And sometimes, on some point in his life, if he grows up and he doesn't stay a child until 60, needs to understand that actually life is built from challenges. And it's not a bad thing. The fact that we are different, the fact that harmony doesn't come easily, it's not a flaw.
where does leadership go into this? How does leadership play? What role should leadership play in order to make this to take us forward into that level of consciousness?
That's a big question for the last 7 minutes, but
So choose an aspect of it. How can
yeah, let's talk from the perspective of Kabbalah at least. That you see the leaders in Kabbalah, they usually educate. They educate on what? They educate on the importance of this interdependency, connection, love,
right?
whatever you want to call it, in thousands of different ways. After you have this method, they also tell you that it's not easy, it's challenging, it's even impossible, and it's okay. And after they do that, as leaders, they try to build this playground that will allow you to not run away, because it's not hard. Because
Because it's
you
not
want,
easy. You mean?
yeah, because it's not easy. Because if you really want if you really want to be in connections with others, and you see how opposite you are, naturally you want to run away from that.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to build this environment or this playground or this place in which we can create what? And here we go back to the beginning of the talk. We create this type of therapy. How do you pronounce it?
Therapeutic.
Yeah, I cannot pronounce this. Therapeutic. Maybe I'll remember this. Therapeutic conversation. Okay,
Right.
which is actually how we nourish from one another's consciousness.
Okay. Ooh, I gotta say, I love how Seth. What's happening with you here? Are you okay? You're overwhelmed, or you are?
No, as
I
usual, I need 2 hours, not just 1 hour. That's one
Yeah,
thing.
I love how Iran puts the emphasis on the challenge, the work. It also, because to me, looking, thinking about this into the future, the great transition that we're now going through, and what's going to happen with how will, what will be the day to day of the human being? What will be work in the future? What are we going to be dealing with? And if you extrapolate sort of, what the concepts that Iran was talking about, and you think about a society that is working on the day to day on that constant challenge of working together, of becoming connected, that becomes work. That becomes the work of the new human. That becomes the work of the future
Look,
society. You
if
know.
you conceal the challenge, then you create an expectation, just like many regimes did in the past, that if we'll just connect to understand how interdependent we are, then a day after that, we'll sit on the grass, sing kumbaya, and there will be 3% that grow all our food, and everybody will be home happy, playing video games, and life will be hunky dory. And they won't. Just like all the promises that were in history, they won't, because the more we move forward, the more we have challenges, and it's part of life. So we shouldn't be surprised, but it's a good thing. Like, who of you would want to go back into kindergarten and play in the sandbox all day? We don't. You just need to give people an ability to enjoy greater challenges.
We also the greenhouse is perfect, Iran, because we are not, again and again and 1,000 times we have to remind ourselves, we are not remembering and taking into consideration nature. Okay, we lived in this modern world yesterday before the virus, and we were responsible for our food, and we're responsible for our military, and we're responsible for fixing the environment, and we're responsible for fixing this, and we're responsible for fixing that, and we're fighting off diseases, and we're fighting off enemies, and fighting everything. And Asaf asks, what is the work? You think you're brave because you can go out and throw some bomb on something, or you think you're brave because you can go out and protest for what you believe? No, you want to be brave. Find the person. I'm not saying everyone should go do this tomorrow, but find the person you disagree with and build some unity between two opposites. And then, like in a greenhouse, then nature will be in that relationship.
Again, you're
Oh,
demanding too much. I'm not even saying.
I know. I was hoping you were going
I'm
to give
not
me a
even
little
saying
bit of
that.
room.
I
I hope you
agree
were going to
with
give me.
you. I agree with you that we give too much credit to ourselves. And when we do that and we go fanatic on how we're going to build this new economy and this new regime and this new whatever, and then we come again to the pointless of existence, and we're not the first. Thousands of years, people have came to this fruitless understanding that there is no point in their life and no meaning or whatever. And then all these great ideological people either shot their head or went to very strong drugs. We need to remember that we're like nothing, like sands, like ants, like nothing. But we are capable of one thing. If we'll insert, and we don't have to do that like 24 hours a day. We can just do it in our small community or online. But if we'll penetrate this understanding that we are mutually dependent, that we need to go through this together, and that I understand all points. I don't agree with everybody. I have my own opinion, but at least I understand that we need to be in this together. And it's challenging. That's it. Even don't do anything. Just talk about this. Just talk about it. That it will land in people's mind. That's like, even this, because even for ourselves, it's not easy to understand. We live in a society which is so polarized that I cannot go through 5 minutes in Facebook or talk with somebody about something and not hate somebody, either the demonstrators or the politicians or the tycoons or the homeless. I must hate somebody because that's how I'm operated. So I need such a strong society around me, like a support group that will at least remind me that we are mutually dependent. And actually, things are not so bad. And actually, it's an opportunity. And that's it.
And
You, Iran, we have with us
on that
today
positive note, yeah.
friends from Mexico, Spain, Quebec, Romania, Arkansas, London, Turkey, Philadelphia, Bulgaria, Quebec, Northampton, Brooklyn, Norway, Mexico, El Paso, Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, Israel, Ohio, Argentina, Ghana, Washington, Massachusetts, St. Louis, Nashville, Brazil, Minnesota, Monterrey, Oregon,
Woo!
Portugal, Nigeria, Toronto, New Jersey, Odessa, Ukraine, and Cameroon, West Africa. Everybody, thank you for being on this journey with us.
You see, you don't need anything to break down. Everything is already in balance. You see, it's so beautiful what you've just read. It's like
It's points of this new consciousness that we're all in this together, that are now awakening all around the world. And
it's the art. It's the art of thanking what is given and doing your best to change where you are giving an opportunity to do it. And it's not easy to find this balance.
And South Africa also.
All right, you guys, we will be here on Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Once again, the great transition. Thank you, everybody. Eran, thank you for this brilliant conversation. As always, we will finish with our theme song. Thank you, everyone. See you again Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern.